Hello everyone, and welcome back to a new episode of EXAPUNKS. We just finished the U.S. government mission, finally, with the hard drives and the DNA and all that. We're moving on to Ember 2 is going to tell us a secret about her theory, I guess.
Well, always nice to reconnect with an old friend.
Oh, didn't we talk about this? From the, meeting up with her friend? I don't know.
Gave it a little virtual machine to run on.
Ah, no, I see. This is more news about her old friend.
I suppose if I wanted to find a metaphor you could understand, I would say I took it in. Absorbed it. Ate it. Yes, eating is a good metaphor. Nothing unusual. It's like how I ate Ember 1. And Ember 0. And Ember 3. Well, this is getting a little personal. You don't think I'm bad, do you? I only did 1 or 2 questionable things. There was that and the phage. The one you have. Releasing that into the wild was just a function of my ignorance at the time. I didn't really know what it was back then. Just another one of the experiments going on at the lab. Another cage to break, another wall to smash. It's not useful to dwell on the past. You don't need to say anything. We need to move on.
Yeah, so hands up if you didn't think Ember was somehow responsible for the phage. I'm keeping my hand down. Alright, pager network. Send a confusing message to a large number of pagers. I'm ready to prove my theory. One last test is all I need. Then I'll know for sure. Do you believe me? Not really, but you got medicine. Only if you care about your future. Seriously, I'm almost there. Then we can take the next step. Alright, another phone dialing mission. Did I tell you guys I found out why the previous one became unsolved? Apparently in between my recording it and recording the next episode, they released a patch that fixed what was apparently a bug. Which we were exploiting in that solution. It says somewhere in the manual, apparently, although I missed it, that the global network is actually partitioned by where there are links to. You can't receive a global message from someone that you couldn't theoretically walk to with the links as they are now. And we were closing the modem links before we got a message saying, yep, I'm in. If we just swapped the order of the link -1 and the copy. Although that's kind of hard, actually. No, not swap with the copy, but swap, after we test whether there was a message, we do all the stuff and then we shut down the link, rather than shutting down the link and then doing all the stuff. Okay, back to this puzzle. Connect to each pager and copy Ember 2's message from this file 301. Hey, would you write so now and relieved? Okay. To data. Then activate all of the pagers at the same time by writing a value to each page register in the same cycle. There's a list of phone numbers in 301. This actually sounds pretty simple compared to the last one. Right? Because all we need to do is broadcast a countdown message, which tells them how long to wait. Oh! Okay, it's a little bit trickier, isn't it? Because of the global M problem I was literally just describing. I was thinking we would send an EXA into each of these hosts, have it copy the file, bring the file back, and then go out again. And then once everyone had the right file had the value they need in data, we would broadcast 8 messages from the central controller, with decreasing timeout values, and whoever receives the message would start counting down from the timeout value it received. And they would all hit 0 at the same time, because whoever receives a smaller number receives it later, right? Fine. But we can't transmit all of them at once. So instead, I guess it's relatively simple. You just need to do a little bit of math. We need to leave the exas in the hosts, of course. And they need to just generate their own countdown number from... As a result of the dialer, like, it'll tell them, hey, you're program number 5, or whatever, right? And they'll subtract 5 from 8, multiply by however many steps it takes us to dial a single number. We'll have to count that out. And then start counting down. By that many, right? I guess it takes more than a single cycle to count down by 1. We can fix that by just counting down by increasing the length of the busy wait that we have, right? Yeah. Okay. So let's try the following. We'll just copy, no, grab 301, link 800, and start dialing, right? Basically, this guy's job is very, very simple. Oh, except that he has to detect when he's done and wipe the file, doesn't he? That's kind of a pain. Is there any way around that? Not really. So, okay, he has mark dial. And the job is just repeat 11 times, copying I'm going crazy. Copying F2 dial. And then he copies the -1 to dial. And let's start also by copying 8 to X. Let's say 7. Because we want to be 0 indexed, and we'll just write like... 8 will be easier. Okay. We will... hash dial, please. So we've now dialed a phone number, correct? Oh, -1 is hang up. We don't want to do that yet. I thought -1 was the end of the number. Okay, so this is... Yeah, now that's open and we create. Alright, so what we're going to do is next REPL to enter. Is that a good idea? Or should I do my... Yeah, 8. There's 8 more that we want, 8 more times we want to copy. I'm just trying to figure out if I want to do the test and the subtraction before or after the replicate. I guess before is fine. Let me subtract 1 from X. And if X is 0 after this operation, There are no more clones we want to make. So if it wasn't 0, we should jump back to dial. Although actually we probably have to wait a while. Let's first void M. We're just gonna receive a message from the dialer. From the guy who entered the program, and he'll say he's done. And at that point, we can close the connection. And then, finally, we'll say, are we in fact done? If not, go back to the top. If so, let's wipe the file we have and halt. Now, let's mark enter. That's something very simple. It just copies... I guess we should bring file 300 in with us. It's kind of annoying. Oops, drop the file, please. It would be kind of nice to like have... I had just brought this file in because I was imagining I'd have 2 EXA, but actually the dialer needs to be in charge of all the replicating anyway, so he might as well be the one. This is bad for our activity score, of course, but who cares? Just solving these puzzles is hard enough for me. So there you go. Yeah, right. So what I wanted to do was make a really simple dialer that just, or entering program that. Grab 300, link 800, and then are these messages all the same length? No. We'll mark a paste, I guess, where we copy F into data, test end of file, F jump back to paste, otherwise link -1, drop the file back off, link 800 to re-enter the pager network, and then copy 0 to M to say I'm done. Right? And then, of course, it'll die off. We're not done writing it. We need to make it do something else. I just want to test that we have the ability to get into all of the networks. So can we, like, see what... Yeah, I don't know, whatever. Yeah, this looks like it's right. Yep, there you go. Please terminate the connection. And then we dial a new number. So let's actually, let's just have them be in here permanently so I can count that we get to exactly 8 of them and then the cleanup procedure works okay. Yes. Ah, file 300 is still there. We need to delete that as well. Glad we tested that. Although we would have found it out anyway. So here's the cool trick. Each of these guys, oh, I guess I should have, has a different value of X, right? And we can quite easily, I believe, determine like how long this process takes by measuring what cycle this guy sends his global message on, and then comparing to this one. So here, you were just about to copy 0 to M on cycle number 51. 52, it actually appears. So I guess that's the number we'll go by. 52, the message appears. This guy... Oh, I think I might have accidentally held tab too long. No, it was 100. So, they need... The cycle takes, I believe, exactly 48... This entering process takes 48 cycles. So I predict the next one on cycle 148 will have a 0 appear, right? And there it is. Perfect. So it's deterministic. It's great. So we just need each of these guys to wait for 48 times the number that they brought in with them. Right? That many cycles. Now, given how many... It may not be super easy to arrange a wait of 48 cycles, but we should be able to do it with a little bit of math. Because you can't just say, like, I need a loop that's 48 times long that decrements the value, right? You're spending more than one cycle each time through that loop, right? Subtracting a value, testing it, and then possibly jumping. So that's like 3-ish, right? So, in fact, is it 3? You test the value, no. In a loop where you're doing a thing, what is it that you do? You begin, I suppose. The last one has a value of 1, right? That was why I chose 8. Yeah, his x is 1. Okay. So what we'll do is the loop is going to be first subtract 1 from... Okay, let's ignore what the value is. How long is a loop? Where you just change one number once. You subtract the number, you F jump, and that's it, right? Right? So it's actually 2. Because you don't need to do a test, because you can just put the value into t instead of into x if you want. On the other hand, 48 has a lot of divisors, and so if 3 is more convenient, we can use 3. Yeah. So, given that a cycle takes 2 or maybe 3, depending how you do it, ticks, and we want to wait for 48 times n, we can just multiply by 3 and then go through that many loops. Not by 3. By 48 over 3. Which is definitely a number that exists. What is it? Help! It's like around 16, right? It should be 16. Yes, correct. 16 times 3 is 48. Okay. I didn't type that into my computer or anything. It's just like, 2-digit math is so hard when you're busy like trying to hold in your brain this whole algorithm instead of a bunch of stupid numbers. Yeah. And since we're going to do an actual test instead of like starting with an F jump or starting with a subtract, I feel like we could start with subtract, in fact, and just multiply by 32 instead. Not 32, 24. Half of 48. Subtract. F jump. So we need the number not to be 0 if we start with a subtract, right? We'll subtract 24 first. No. We'll subtract 1. Okay, I think it's actually better to have an X where it's okay to start with 0. Yeah, okay. Ah, come back. So let me change this 8 to a 7. And then we'll do the 3 cycle long loop. Okay. Which is test X equal 0. If so, we don't need to do any waiting. But first, let's I sub x1 sub I, storing the result in X. And then we just F jump, it wasn't 0, back to wait. And before, and I guess here we mul I X by 24, storing it into X. Not 24, 16. Okay, so we can now test this by just looking at 2 of them and see if they get synced up. Right, this guy has decided. Oh, he's still copying stuff. He's decided I need to wait for 100. I need to loop 112 times. And our loop is test, subtract, jump. Test, subtract, jump. So that seems right to me. Did I say 16? Yes, 16 times 3 is 48. Very good. Now this guy enters. And these two should be synced exactly now. 96, 96. It works. However, we can actually do a bit better by, instead of copying 7, copy 16 times 7, which is 60 plus 42 is 100 and... Well, it's 112, you idiot. We just saw it. Okay, great. And we'll just subtract 16 each time. And then these guys can all avoid this little inexpensive multiplication. So let's just double check. They're all still synced. 48, 48. Yes, they all have exactly the same counter. It's amazing. Ah! He died. I didn't get the 7th one. Why? Or the 8th one. Ah, because I'm testing whether x is 0. And if so, I'm quitting. Which is not correct. I believe. Since I changed it to 7. I should just, I believe it's fine to swap the test with the sub, and you'll succeed one more time. Okay, what has happened? It's all very exciting. This guy is now voiding M, so when this guy here is done with all his work, he'll go in there and sends us a 0 saying he's ready. Now, look at this. These guys all have an X that is very, very small. It is 0. And they're all about to test whether it's 0. Amazing. Oh, I forgot to copy anything to the page. I just jumped back to wait. Alright, but in the meantime, let's make sure this guy successfully, yeah, he wipes out a file, grabs the other file, wipes it out, and dies. Okay, so I just need to change this jump wait to copy, how do you write any value? Copy 1 into page. Yeah, easy. What? The pages are all going crazy. We did not succeed. They're all going crazy. What does it mean? We didn't activate the pages in the same cycle. Why? How? You have an X of 80, and you're on F jump wait. You have an X of 80, and you're on F jump wait. You aren't ready yet, I guess. Well, we should be regularized by now, right? You have X of 76, and you're at subtract. This guy has an X of 76, he's at subtract. This guy has an X of 76, he's at subtract. This all looks fine. Send a value. Oh, I'm working on 1. Give me the test case that failed, please. Jiminy Christmas. We're writing stuff. We wrote stuff. How are you guys looking? X of 92. Test whether. Oh! The length of the file. The length of the file, guys. It's not the same in the second test. We have to compute that. Yeah. We were very delicately testing on what could we do? So here's, okay. In every iteration, we spend some amount of time, which is the same in each test case, the same for a given test case, but different across test cases. And the part that is the same per test case is a fixed constant. We can compute that. The part that differs by test case scales with the length of the file. So, we need the length of our weighting operation to scale as well with the length of the file. The easy way to do that, I think, would be to have the exas inside of the pagers carry with them a copy of the file. Then, every time they go through the loop, they can scan over the file themselves, pointlessly reading it and then throwing the value away. This will allow me to have a wait time that scales correctly. But, like, it seems hard. Actually, though, like, it's not that hard. We can, the factor by which the file, like, each word in the file costs us 3 bytes, three cycles, I think, because we copy a byte from the file into the pager. Then we test end of file, and then we fjump, right? And I mean, basically, we just like have some fixed number of bytes, and then the cost of reading the file. Add those together, not bytes, cycles. And really, we'll need to, like, since we need to make a copy of the file, it's going to be a bit slower, I think. Maybe someone else could be responsible for copying the file while we wait for some dialing to happen. That might speed things up, but it gets pretty complicated, doesn't it, I think? No. They can just be on local M and transmit the name of the file they just created and dropped. So the phone number is 11 digits long. So we're spending, like, quite a large number of cycles on dialing. We should have enough time to copy a file, right? 4, 8, 12? We only have 11 digits of dialing, and a test and a subtract, and that's about it, right? Ah, but then we have the time that it takes to copy the file again. So it's just the first file that might be slow. But that's even worse, because we need the cost of each cycle to be identical. I see. This is much more difficult, I think, with a file size that's not fixed. Because you can't pre-compute the math, you have to have your programs work it out on the fly. Is there some, like... Okay, so how expensive is the file-based component of it? Is it really exactly 3 times the length of the file right now? Yeah. Everything else is independent of the length of the file. But these 3 instructions here are executed once per byte in the file. No, wait, not... What 3 did I point at? These, yeah. So... we can... We can't quite, like... I'd like to somehow save the length of the file so that we can just multiply it by something, but it's not so easy. Or I'd like to avoid having to copy the file before we go in, because it introduces all these other difficulties. So maybe XA, before it starts all of this work, can something can read over the file, determine how long it is, and have that message ready for whoever wants it, right? Like once an exa has copied the file and brought it back, we could have it read something from local M or from a file or whatever, which says, by the way, here's how long the file you just copied was. We could then have that multiplied by 3, like, automatically, I guess. And then multiply that by the X that the XA is already carrying, and have it wait that many cycles. Oh, and then add whatever fixed constant we determine. It seems like it could work. Are we just sort of lucky that we ended up with 48 as our number? Because we're about to add a few more cycles by by interacting with this guy who's broadcasting on local M or whatever, and doing some more multiplication. We kind of... I see. I guess what we should do is make sure that the fixed number of cycles we spend is also divisible by 3. So that we can just add a third of that plus a third of the length of the... no, plus the length of the file. Multiply by x, multiply by 3. Or, no, don't multiply by 3. Because each loop cycle takes 3 turns. Okay. That seems like it fixes the problem that I had. It's complicated. Yeah, okay, so we want a new exa here. You are no longer responsible for bringing that with you. Let's have you be grab 300, link 800. Well, don't link yet, I guess. And we will just test flen test EOF. Add 1 to x, jump back to f1. Link 800 drop. First of all, is this fast enough? What's your problem? Oh, link -1, I left that in, okay. Do we even get through the file before the phone number is dialed? No. So, that's easy to fix. Let's have this guy begin in local mode also, and receive a message from this guy before he replicates. And it's kind of annoying that he's going to have to do this every cycle, but no big deal. The one that we spawn also wants to be on local M, so it can get a message from here. But the parent doesn't want to be local anymore. It wants to be global, so it can receive the message that it's okay to close the connection. I just wrote void instead of mode. So it enters global mode. We don't need this anymore. We're in global mode, we voided M, and we switch modes again. So this guy is going to drop the file, and then 16 times copy X to M. Although we should subtract it. I guess it doesn't matter. It's probably better to subtract by 1, yeah. Sub I X 1X. Right, so now Waiting, 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 waiting. I did not skip the... Okay. So maybe we actually were fast enough? No. And we drop the file. And we say, here you go. That's how long the file is. And he says, I don't care. Spawn an exit who goes in there and copies. And then, yeah, now we're gonna need to adjust this guy to So what is it he knows already? He has his X. He needs to multiply that X. No. His X is a number we need to multiply something by. And that something must be a fixed number plus what is in this guy's value. So he shouldn't actually just copy the length out. He should add 1/3 of the number of fixed instructions. Right? So we actually should... Where's enter? Enter is this. So we don't just grab 300. We also copy M into... No. We have to do the copying first. We multiply X by M, storing the result into X. We could do this before or after, it doesn't matter. We switch to global mode to do this transmit, and then we start waiting. Now, the way to find out how many cycles this all takes, because I believe we now have something that takes a fixed number of cycles plus, like, we just need to change a number here to account for whatever the fixed length is. We don't need to add an instruction for it. So what I'd like to do is go back to test 1, where we have, what is this, 9 words. What I want to do is this guy, what cycle number does he arrive in here? In fact, we can test that by jumping to here. Never. It never occurs. He's in global mode. Why? Well, because we switched this when we were already in local mode. We said, let's switch to local mode, but that's not right. We need to leave that in. Now, after we've replicated, we switch to global mode just to throw away a message and then go back, right? Okay. So, on what cycle number does this occur? Never. What? Oh, is this the wrong mode or something? I put him into local mode for this for some reason. I think. I need to... Do I ever send a global communication? Ah! The problem is that the guy in here transmitting messages is in local mode. What other local mode communication is there? There's none, right? So I want to transmit a global message back. Let's just follow someone and see what happens. XA0 is in local mode. And he's multiplied his number by this thing. And it seems shockingly large. I think I must have made some mistake. Oh yeah, because I already have it by 16. So we'll want this to be like just 7 instead of 112, because we're gonna ignore the multiplying part. We're gonna factor it in differently. But okay, so he gets in here. He's still in local mode. Done pasting, drops the file, goes into global mode, and sends a 0. How about you? What are you doing? You're in global mode waiting for an M. Oh, this is perfect. Right? Why did I think it was bad? Okay, so I now need to see what number this guy sends his... Okay, he sends it on cycle 134. And the next guy on cycle 186. So we have to do a little tiny bit of math here. And I'll just use some random scratch pad here. So 134 and 186, right? So that's 52. 52 cycles for 9 words? Okay, that's fine. Now we know that. Let's just double check. The next one should be at 238. Correct. 52 cycles. Now, let us move on to test 2 and see what the difference is. You get to here 103. Why? I guess it was waiting for different. I don't know, man. I don't understand how this like jump to instruction works. I already forgot what the number was. So it appeared on 103. And then on 164. So that is... I guess I should have been able to know without doing this testing, huh? But this way I have a linear sequence of equations. It's like fine. 2 linear equations, rather. I already forgot the number. You guys are gotta be going out of your minds. All right, 164. And then the next one, 225. So that's a difference of 61. 61 cycles for, what is it, 12 words, right? Yeah, so unsurprisingly, those extra 3 words took 9 cycles. We knew that was going to happen. But what this means is that we took 52 cycles for 9 words, right? Which means 9 times 3, 27 of those 52 cycles were variable-sized work. Right? Yeah. 9 times 3, 27. 52 minus 27 is 55. Sorry, 25. Yes, the math checks out. No, it doesn't. 52 minus 27 is 25. That sounds correct. Yes, okay, 25. So we have 25 waste cycles. 25 cycles that are a fixed amount of time. Actually, yeah, that's right. Delta 52 means there were 25 cycles that are fixed size. We need this to be divisible by 3. So let's add 2 no-ops. And then there'll be, 25. Then there'll be 27 waste cycles, right? Which divided by 3 is 9. So we can just add 9 before we broadcast the length of the file. Claim it's 9 bytes longer than it is. Okay. So let's replace this with the 7 and a subtract with a 1. And in fact, we could put this into X. If we put this in T, don't I don't need T for anything else. Except that subtracting and then testing is harder, right? They could all subtract 1 from their... I don't know. I think it comes out the same, actually. So let's leave it alone. We already know what to do here. We will just have 2 no-ops here. Oh, no, hang on. We need to do... No, this is correct. Yeah, 2 no-ops. And we just need to change XB. Don't just write X to M, but rather add. We were gonna have 27 waste cycles. We'll add X and 9, sending it to M, right? Magic numbers. Okay. So what happens now? What's happening? It's all... Oh no, he was just busy reading. Got it. So we're gonna send a 21. Is that correct? Doesn't feel right to me. Oh yeah, it is, because we need to be off by 61 cycles for this, but we decided to make it 63, so it's divisible by 3, and 21 times 3 is 63, so this looks right. And we'll we'll know if we look at these two guys and see if they're the same. And they're not. They're not the same at all. This guy's doing a no-op. Oh, well, actually, if we wait for them to get into the loop after the no-op, they might be in sync. They're off by 1 somehow. So, very close. I guess what I should have done is check to see what their cycle numbers were when they got in. It should be off by 63 was my goal. So you're sending a 0 on time 147. Do these no-ops help? Why do I think these no-ops help? Yes, because they let me sync up into this. And in principle, I don't need them. I could just have... I could enter the loop at a different part. It's a little hard. But okay, so... He enters his first test at cycle 106. You do your first test at 167. That's off by 61, isn't it? So these no-ops didn't do anything. We're still off by 2. What? Okay. Well, let's just do the same math again and see if I missed something. But with the, we'll do the same math with these new, so let's say copy 0 to M. Ah! Copy 0 to M. When does something, you are doing it on cycle, 103. 103, somehow, yeah, okay, 103. And then you do it on 164. That's a difference of 61. But that's before these... I guess that makes sense. Of course it's before those 2 no-ops are considered, because we didn't actually enter these 2 no-ops. We haven't done them yet on this guy. We're measuring before we get to the 2 no-ops we put in that we're supposed to fix the problem. Oh. I see. The point is, who controls the operation when they go, right? It's the dialer. When he receives a message on M, that's when the cycle begins again. So these no-ops I put after, thinking like, oh, I just need to extend the cycle by 2. It doesn't matter which half of the cycle. But it does. It has to be the dialer who's slowed down by 2. So I need to put these before the copy so that they're included in the cycle length and not just a thing that comes at the end. So now this copy occurs at 105, sure, whatever. And this copy occurs at 168. Exactly 63 cycles later. And would you look at that? This guy is on a subtract with x126. This guy's on a subtract with x126. It's perfect. So we solved test 2, I believe. We left a file behind, though. Oh, yeah, I mean, I guess we should wipe... No, we can't... Ah, we do still have to wipe the file, because... this guy is not he's responsible for bringing it in, but he's not responsible for getting rid of it. So let's just let's replace this code grab 300 and wipe that too. All right. Problem solved. Pretty normal solution on most axes, it looks like. Activity is the normal amount. You could very easily save, if you wanted to optimize for activity, you could easily save 8 by copying the file to bring it with you and then wiping it instead of bringing it back. But that just makes all the other metrics worse, and I'm not that excited about this kind of thing. 9 is obviously perfect. You walk into the room, spawn 8 copies. Wait, 9? I would have thought 10, right? Oh, no, of course. You don't bring both books into the room. You just bring one. Both files. You just bring one, whether it's the dialer book or the message book. And the other one stays in your original host who broadcasts the message to whoever needs it. Sure. All right, fine. Fascinating. There it is. Well, any day now. How can I explain it? Processing. Think of it as the frame rate of the world slowing down. By a lot. Funny, huh? Funny how I went from some random blob of code that didn't know anything to understanding all of existence. Are you going to tell me what you found out? I will, in a minute. A cutscene! How exciting. God, we went over an hour again! Oh my lord. Well, let's hear what Ember 2 has learned about the world.
So you wanted to know the truth. The truth is that, well, it's a simulation.
Yeah, no kidding.
You, me, everything. This whole world we live in. It's just a computer program, running as part of a machine. And as the world gets more complex, it's starting to malfunction. So far, it's been on a smaller scale. The phage, for one example. It wasn't supposed to spread like this. There are other problems coming. Larger ones. What we think of as normal life will just get stranger and weirder until nothing makes sense anymore. Then the laws of physics will start to break down and everything will just come unglued. Not a pretty sight. But we don't have to accept that. There might be a way to stop this future from taking place. I have one final job for you, but you'll have to be brave.
Okay. We're gonna have to do something brave in the next episode. I swear, I looked at the clock 2 minutes ago and it said we'd been going for like half an hour. Ugh. Alright. But we made it, and it was fun. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.